Nearly 3 million years ago, long before humanity learned to shape stone into tools or tame fire into protection, Earth was governed by raw power and merciless natural law. Survival was never promised. Every sunrise brought uncertainty, and every movement through the landscape carried the possibility of death. This was not a world designed for comfort or safety, but one forged through constant pressure where only the most adaptable endured. Early human ancestors existed at the edge of extinction, fragile and unfinished, sharing their environment with predators that had already mastered the art of killing long before humans ever appeared. Africa, during this time, was undergoing profound transformation. The climate oscillated between wet and dry phases, reshaping dense forests into open woodlands and expanding savannas. These shifts forced early hominins out of the trees and onto the ground, a move that would ultimately define human evolution, but initially exposed them to unprecedented danger. Walking upright allowed them to see farther and travel longer distances, yet it also stripped away the safety of height and concealment. On the open plains, vulnerability replaced refuge, and every predator could see them clearly. Rivers and lakes became central to survival. They provided water, fertile soil, plant foods, and scavenging opportunities. Yet these same lifelines were also among the deadliest places in the prehistoric world. Water attracted life, and where life gathered, predators waited. Giant crocodile ancestors controlled these environments with absolute dominance. To approach the water's edge was to gamble with existence, because beneath the still surface often lurked a force capable of ending life in seconds. These ancient crocodiles were not merely larger versions of modern species. Some reached colossal sizes, with skulls longer than a human torso and jaws capable of exerting bone-crushing force. Their teeth were designed not to slice, but to seize and hold, ensuring escape was impossible. Thick, armored skin shielded them from injury, while powerful tails propelled them through water with explosive speed. Evolution had refined their form over tens of millions of years, creating predators so effective that little change was necessary. They were living weapons, perfected long before humans learned fear. Early human ancestors stood in stark contrast. They possessed no claws, no fangs, no protective hide. Their bodies were small and lightly built, suited for endurance rather than combat. Alone, a single hominin stood little chance against almost any large predator. What they did possess, however, was the earliest form of something far more powerful than muscle: awareness. Their brains were beginning to grow, not to overpower enemies, but to observe, remember, and anticipate danger. Water sources became arenas of tension and fear. Crocodiles were masters of stillness, capable of remaining motionless for hours, blending seamlessly into murky water, reeds, and shadows. Only their eyes and nostrils broke the surface, often mistaken for drifting debris or stones. To an approaching hominin, there was no warning sign, no sound, no movement. The danger was invisible until it erupted. When a crocodile attacked, the event unfolded with terrifying speed. A sudden explosion from the water shattered the calm. Massive jaws snapped shut with devastating force, seizing limbs or torsos in an instant. Victims were dragged beneath the surface, spun violently in the infamous death roll, and drowned before any struggle could begin. For a small, unarmed hominin, the encounter lasted only seconds. Fossil evidence confirms this grim reality. Ancient bones bearing distinctive crocodile bite marks stand as silent testimony that early humans were not just predators in training, but prey. These deadly encounters shaped behavior long before culture, language, or tradition existed. Learning occurred through loss.
When one individual vanished near the water, the absence itself became a lesson. Fear spread, memory formed, and behavior slowly adjusted. Over generations, early humans began to approach rivers cautiously. They avoided certain banks, hesitated before drinking, and gathered in groups for protection. These were not conscious strategies as modern humans understand them, but instinctive responses shaped by survival pressure. The crocodiles, meanwhile, remained patient and relentless. They did not need to chase prey across open ground or engage in prolonged pursuit. They relied on inevitability. Every living creature needed water, including humans. Crocodiles hunted patterns rather than individuals, positioning themselves where thirst, hunger, and routine would bring prey within reach. Their greatest weapon was not speed or strength alone, but time. Seasonal changes intensified the danger. During dry periods, water sources shrank, forcing animals into tighter spaces. Competition increased, tension rose, and desperation drove creatures closer to the shore. Crocodiles thrived under these conditions, capitalizing on the chaos. They attacked antelope, megafauna, and any upright walking ape foolish enough to step too close. For early humans, these seasons represented some of the deadliest moments in their evolutionary history. These predators were ancient survivors of deep time. They had outlived dinosaurs and endured multiple mass extinctions. Their dominance over water ecosystems was nearly absolute. To them, early humans were nothing special, just another animal, slow and exposed near the shore. There was no rivalry, no recognition of future potential, only opportunity. Yet something subtle but profound was changing. While crocodiles remained physically perfect for their ecological niche, human ancestors were evolving in a different direction. Their intelligence was not growing to challenge predators directly, but to understand them. Patterns were noticed. Certain stillness felt wrong. Certain ripples did not match the wind. Over time, these observations shaped instinct. Simple behaviors began to emerge. Stones were thrown into water, not as weapons, but as probes. Noise was used to disrupt silence, to test whether danger lay hidden beneath the surface. Groups formed tighter bonds. Individuals took turns watching, while others drank. Children learned without words, copying the cautious movements of elders. The riverbank became a place of ritualized fear, approached slowly and deliberately. Social behavior became humanity's earliest shield against extinction. Alone, a hominin was defenseless. Together, they gained awareness, memory, and shared vigilance. These early forms of cooperation laid the groundwork for everything that followed in human history. Survival was no longer solely individual, it became collective. Still, the balance remained deadly. Many encounters ended in loss. Evolution does not protect individuals, it filters behaviors. Each death removed habits that led to danger, while survival reinforced caution. Over thousands of generations, these pressures refined the human nervous system. Sensitivity to sudden movement, unease near murky water, and instinctive fear of unseen threats became ingrained. Even today, humans feel discomfort near still, dark water, a reflex inherited from a time when the surface could erupt without warning. The crocodiles did not adapt to humans. Humans adapted to crocodiles. This asymmetry defined their relationship. While crocodiles remained physically unchanged, hominins were reshaped psychologically and socially by repeated encounters with them. The deadliest battles were not fought with teeth or claws, but with learning and restraint. Some encounters may have ended differently. Evidence suggests that larger groups armed with stones and sticks could occasionally drive crocodiles away from kill sites or prevent attacks. These moments were not triumphs over nature, but narrow survivals that reinforced cooperation. They hinted at a future where intelligence, not brute force, would determine dominance. The environment itself amplified danger. Riverbanks were slippery and unstable. Visibility was poor. Crocodiles could strike from angles no prey could anticipate. Early humans, still mastering balance on two legs, were especially vulnerable. A single misstep could mean death. Despite this, early humans did not abandon water. They could not. Survival required risk. Every drink, every plant gathered near the shore, every scavenged meal was a calculated gamble. Living with constant danger forged a species that learned to coexist with fear rather than eliminate it. Over time, these encounters shaped one of humanity's defining traits: cautious curiosity. Humans learned to approach danger carefully, to observe before acting, and to retreat when necessary. Crocodiles were not defeated.